This one small tip will change your pull-up strength dramatically. So a normal pull-up, you're pulling straight up and your back is kind of arched. So you're pulling into your lats and your feet are kind of like dragging behind you almost. So what I want you to do is, instead of having your feet behind you, I want you to make your body into a straight board and try to point your feet forward and pull like that. So all that is taking from the normal pull-up position like this, putting your feet forward, keeping your body straight and pulling up. You can do them slow, you can do them fast, as long as your feet stay in the same position and your hips stay forward the whole way through.
Hollow body pull-ups, again and again. Which one is better? Which one is wrong? Which one is right? You have guessed it. It depends. Both the examples shown in this video are extreme. The first one biases extension and compresses the backside, while the other one is done in flexion and compresses the front side. Both have their uses and advantages, but also their disadvantages. Both are extremes, and the optimal individual pull-up will probably be one that is between the two. That being said, we would never recommend doing flexion or hollow body pull-ups, since for most athletes, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. In this position, we naturally bring the head of the humerus more to the front, placing a higher stress on the whole rotator cuff area and therefore increasing the risk of injury. Furthermore, in a flexion-biased position, especially when we want to do an explosive movement like the muscle up, it will make it harder to depress your scapula, which means that you risk to not actually use the lat at the lockout optimally, but rather biasing the arms more, thus placing high stress on the elbows. That being said, if you can engage the scapulas correctly while staying in flexion, the movement will predominantly bias the vertical lat fibers more. An extension-biased pull-up will make for a more efficient and explosive activation at the bottom and more horizontal lat fibers and a rhomboid-heavy activation throughout the movement. So what are our conclusions? The question I ask myself before putting any exercise in any of my clients' plan is, why are we doing this exercise? What is the goal? Since the pull-up is a competition lift and one of the big four in calisthenics, it's often considered and programmed as such, meaning we want a form that feels safe and is easy to load for the individual. Both of the examples shown are extremes and difficult to load, or at least difficult to load safely. Generally, when wanting to hit either the vertical lat fibers or the horizontal fibers or the rhomboids or any specific lat region for hypertrophy reasons, exercises like the vertical one-arm lat pull-down and its variations or pulley variations will be the first choice, since they allow for a safer and more targeted progression. When wanting to hit vertical lat fibers more using pull-ups, I would go for a neutral grip variation that makes centering the humerus easier, even if in a more flexion-based position. When wanting to teach better abduction and depression using calisthenics, or when the athlete is learning how to be explosive, I would use either row variations on rings or slightly extension-biased pull-ups. Still, as diplomatic as this might sound, the last thing I would advise people to do is to keep their legs forward and roll in like Gollum when doing pull-ups, as the risk definitely does not outweigh the reward in this case.